Hey, folks, we're so glad you're joining us here today. This is going to be a little bit of a challenging podcast. We're going to do something a little different here today. Some of you may or may not know, but we recently lost my brother, my blood brother, Pastor Carlton. He was our associate pastor here at Now Church. He was also a great leader in our family. And I thought it'd be great to do a podcast right in the middle of it and going through this process of grief and talking to you about how to, what I've learned, what I'm experiencing, and my takeaway, so that maybe it can help you, because we all have at some point or will experience, what our family is experiencing, what our church family is experiencing right now. Pastor Charlie's with us here today.
Absolutely.
Executive pastor here at Now Church. And so he's going to kind of walk us through the interview today and through the podcast today. We're just going to talk. It's actually not an interview. It's more like a discussion. And we'll just, hopefully what we'll say today will help bless somebody in your journey. And maybe you can come back to this, God forbid, when you walk through a similar process, and maybe something today.
Because at some point, everybody's going to have to go through it.
Yeah.
At some point, we all have to go through challenging times in our life and deal with some sort of grief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here talking, and I'm just thinking about your uncle, who was a great leader and pastor as well, about 4 years ago, 5?
That's actually been about 9 years ago.
9 years ago. Wow.
Yeah. 19 years ago now. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. So, anyways.
You know what? That's been 14 years ago. I just thought about it. That was 2009. We're in 23. I said 9 years. Wow.
Who knows these
grief.
days?
I mean, first thing, I want to know, and I'm sure everybody watching wants to know, how are you doing?
I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing okay. I think God's grace is sufficient. And that's the thing. That's the first thing I'll say about this process is, I think the best thing that a person can do, especially a believer, is to completely surrender to God and let God carry you in moments like this. So I think because I'm in God's grace, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I would say Javen by himself, like the rest of my family, we're not good. It's not great. It's not a season where, we feel that strength like I would imagine most people would feel when they lose a very close loved one unexpectedly. But I would say I'm good because God is good.
Talk to me about, talk to us about, like immediately after that first week. Unfortunately, the situation happened in the middle of the week. You were up preaching on that Sunday. How did you do it? Why did you do it?
Well, I'll tell you, the short answer is I did it because that's the call I accepted.
Wow.
That's my life. That is who I am when I made that commitment, right? So that's the short answer of why I did it. How I did it, I would say, again, it was all on God's grace. It was all on the empowerment of who God was in my life. And I think the other thing too, which I think is so important, is we don't owe people anything as far as in how we are to present ourselves. We owe a responsibility to God in how we present ourselves. So if I'm broken and you see that, oh well. If I'm strong and you see that, oh well. If I'm happy, if I'm down, it doesn't matter. Now we can choose to put on the front to save face and to, maybe not have to address certain things, and that's fine to do. But at the end of the day, I don't think that you should put a lot of energy into trying to fit a quota and how you should look and how you should present yourself when you're going through a challenge or a trial. I think it's okay to be you, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
And that's what I chose to do. I chose to just say, God, whatever the you and me looks like in this moment is what I'm okay with. I'm okay with whatever that looks like.
If you could take yourself, back to that first week when everything was going on and you're dealing with grief, whatever that situation may be that somebody's dealing with, like when you're in the middle of it and everybody in your family is looking to you for leadership and for motivation and for just guidance and what to do, but deep down you really you kind of need it just like everybody else.
Yeah.
What do you say? Where do you pull from?
That's a really good question, Charlie. I think that here's what I've concluded. I didn't know this at the time, to be honest with you. They said hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah.
When I look back on that, and it's not been that long ago, my revelation is that if you hit a trial, or if you hit so grief is a long journey. People say time heals. I don't know that that's true. Just like we thought your uncle was, passed away 3 years ago and it's been 14. You see, time doesn't really heal much of anything, but Jesus does. And I think that when I look back on that situation, my revelation is this: if you hit a journey and you don't have enough gas for the journey, then you're going to run out and you're going to end up having to pull over. You're going to end up stalling out. You're going to end up having to stop. You're going to end up not completing the journey, so to speak. But if your tank is full, spiritually speaking, when you hit these unexpected turbulences, when you hit these unexpected tragedies, this was a tragedy. Pastor Carlton died unexpectedly. He was healthy. I saw him Monday. Less than 48 hours, he was gone, and it was instantaneous. I think that if your tank is not full spiritually, then you're in trouble. And what happened to me was we entered this year with a yes in our spirit. We entered this year with a yes in our spirit.
I'm gonna need some tissue.
No, I don't. I'm fine.
No, I'm talking about for me. Oh. I was trying to stay away from that because I was already thinking about it. But I'm joking. Don't bring me no tissue.
We hit this year with a yes in our spirit, and I got really, really like one of the best years of my life as far as in just surrendering to God.
Yeah.
Our church postured ourselves to surrender to God, and we just watched the hand of God move throughout our church family in such a miraculous way. But
let me interrupt.
But I think everybody, it was personal.
This is the thing: when grief hits, it's never something you plan for. Mm-mm. And the thing that was amazing to watch from watching leadership, watching you. What you failed to mention at this point is that we were just in the middle of a huge transition with our church, like abrupt transition, and your brother was a huge part in why we were able to get through that. And then literally as that's going on, boom. How do you? I got grace. Grief is coming. I'm trusting God. My tank is full. But we in the middle of something. My tank already it was full last week, but I just got hit last week. And you telling me I got to get hit again?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what happened, right?
That is exactly what happened. But I don't know. I don't know. For me, right, I see it as in, somebody said we did a song called The Year of Yes, and dope song.
Blowing up.
We blowing up and carrying on. And somebody got, you always have these anonymous commenters. And somebody said, well, what if everything, if you don't get everything, or what if you don't get what you want and whatever. And I didn't respond to I don't respond to people on social media, but if I had responded to the person, I would have told them, yes, it's not about you getting what you want. Yes, it's about you surrendering to God's will. That's what the Year of Yes is about.
Yes, it's not about getting what you want. It's about surrendering to God's will.
God's will. So again, my tank was already full.
Had you known that we would be sitting here at the end of the year, understanding everything that we've gone through, would you still have said yes at the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
Or just be like, you know what? You can keep that.
Absolutely, man. You got a kid, you got a boy, you're trying to, raise him as a man. I got a son that's already a man. And, he's been here with me, and every day I've had to, my biggest challenge with him is to accept growth.
Yeah.
Accept growth, accept the pains of growth, accept the uncomfortability of growth.
Accept the pains of growth.
Yeah.
A lot of people run from that because they don't want to accept the pain that comes with growth. They want the end result. They talk about the purpose. They're so excited about the purpose. They're so excited about, they talk about the process, but they don't really want the growing pains that comes with it.
I'll give you one better than that. And I'm not trying to put my son on blast, but he's happy for me. Yeah. He's very proud of his father. You know, he's my biggest supporter. He's my biggest fan, man. And that's something I recently learned. You know, he's always encouraging me. Oh, Dad, you can do it. Oh, Dad, just, you know, this, that, and the other. So he could see it for me all day, but he's challenged with seeing it for himself.
Yeah.
And I have to say to him and remind him, you too, you don't have to do what I'm doing, but there is a greater you that's ahead of you if you will surrender to the challenges that come with that and not, you know, take the easy route or the easy road or think I'm too good for this to happen to me.
Yeah.
Hey folks, Javen here. If you've been stuck, if you've been procrastinating, if you've been feeling like you don't know where your next season, your next breakthrough is going to come from, I want to challenge you right now. I got the answer for you. Do it now. Why wait when your best is now? My best-selling book. I want you to pick it up today. It's going to help you get unstuck and get going with this season of your life because there's so many extraordinary things that are supposed to be taking place right now in your life, but sometimes we just need a little booster. At the end of every chapter, there's a workshop assignment that's going to help you begin to plan your day, plan your week, plan your year. This is your season of now. This is your season of yes, and it's time for you to do it now. Pick it up today.
No matter where you are in life, Do It Now is a must-read. Get your copy of Do It Now and get some great nuggets of wisdom by award-winning recording artist, TV host, actor, producer, and author, Javen. Available anywhere books are sold. Why wait for better when your best is now?
When you think about managing through just grief, weeks after, you still got to keep going. You think about the family. You think about the people that were impacted. You think about the thousands of people that just shared stories after story after story, right? How do you move forward from there? Like, how do you, because honestly, sometimes you just want to, just being fully transparent, you just want to quit. You don't want to keep going.
Yeah.
How do you move forward? How do you keep going?
I think you keep going slowly. You know, and I don't think you move as fast. I don't think you move as aggressive,
but you keep going.
But you keep going. And, you know, I've said this before, and it's in my book, you know, death is a reminder that it's your time to lead. You know, so if somebody dies in your family, if your grandma, your mom, if your uncle, God forbid your parents or, you know, a brother or sister, and God has graced you with the gift of continued life on this side of heaven, you know, then you're it.
Yeah,
you're it. And you must take that torch and keep the legacies of what was established from a parent, from a brother, from a loved ones, but then also create new legacies. And you can't do that if you're in a corner crying. You can't do that if you're in your bed with the covers over your head.
Yeah.
You know, you have to keep going. And even, again, if you're not as fast as you normally would be, if you're not as happy as you normally would be, if you're not as jovial as you normally would be, that's all right. You keep going. At some point, some of that will kick back in, and the people that are with you will be with you.
Yeah.
And even if they're not sure, you just let them know, be a little patient with me. You know, somebody, you know, here at the church, I haven't necessarily been that available here at the church. Far as being with the people, right, like normally I would be able to, simply because I don't have it to give right now. But I have been here to be able to obviously do ministry, share the word of God and the things that I can do. So you do what you can do.
Yeah.
You do what you can do. And what you can't do, don't judge yourself for. Take the breaks that you need to take when you need to take them, but don't use grief as an excuse to throw in the towel. Don't use grief as an excuse to quit. Don't use grief as an excuse to go back to your old ways or bad habits, you know, because grief can be a demonic force too.
Yeah.
And it can take you down to, you know, Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole to where, you know, you'll look up, you know, and wonder how you got this low.
And just making excuses.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk to me about like the importance of having a support system and being around the right people when you're going through grief. Because a lot of times when people go through things, if you got the wrong person around you, you easy to slip into something crazy because you're like, I was grieving. It's an excuse, right? But how important is it to have the right people around you, your family, your church family, your friends, like somebody that'll be there for you to let you cry on them, but then also they laugh with you. Like, how important is that? Talk to me about that, and how did that help you get through, getting through what you're currently going through?
It's beyond important. Like, I think to be honest with you, I think if you don't have it, you'll need a miracle in order to survive it. I'll be honest with you. We need one another. We're talking today about take somebody by the hand is the title of the message today that I'm going to be teaching. But like, you need people. God made us to be relational. You know, this stupidity of thinking you can do something on your own and you got this, and it's just me and my wife, or just me and my family, or just me and my one person. Like, life ain't like that.
Right.
It takes a village. It takes an army of people. It takes a team of people. And I'm not saying everybody has to be your confidant and everybody has to be your close-knit friend in life. That's impossible. But like Jesus had the 3, he had the 12, and then he had the multitude, but then he had the women, and he had all the different ones that were somewhere, somehow doing something that helped relieve the pressure of what he had to endure on the cross and his assignment on the earth. So if Jesus needs that, and he's God in the flesh, how much more do we need to have those right people? But again, this speaks to your tank being full before you get here.
Yeah.
This speaks to establishing and building solid, sure relationships, and picking and figuring out who those people are in your life, man.
Yeah.
Figuring out, just because somebody grew up with you, that doesn't mean that person is a part of your circle. Just because, that person's in your family, that doesn't mean that person is in your circle. That, you have to really begin to pray about that. And I think the sooner you can identify that, the better. The sooner you can identify that, the better. And it's hard for people to make that decision, because we do worry about people's feelings, and it is hard to love people from afar and when they want to be close and all that kind of stuff. But, you got to be okay with saying, you know what? That was then, this is now. This is not for me. I'm not for you. We're not for, this is not, healthy spiritually, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, because, I went through a period of time where I really, and I'm still kind of in that season where I really can't talk to a lot of people. I can do a text, I can respond at a text at some point here and there. But as far as having like a real conversation, there's a lot of people I can't really talk to right now. And it's not the people. It's just, again, the ability to make sure that whoever I'm speaking with and whoever I'm talking to, there is enough fuel for both of us to endure that conversation.
Right.
Because if your tank is empty and mine is already on a quarter because of all the hell I've been going through, then again, that conversation is going to stall. It's going to actually deplete what I got, and we're going to be in trouble. Yeah. Because let's face it, my brother was beloved by all, so when people saw me, they were just broken as I was, they were just as hurt as I was. You were just as affected as I was affected, and even though he was my blood brother, you guys had your own personal relationship. Yeah. He was very effective with you and your son, and of course us as a church family. And there were so many people that came to me at his celebration of life service, and I could tell what they were saying was, he meant something to me.
Yeah.
This is a personal pain for me. And just hearing that, I did my best to kind of help navigate that grief and that disappointment. And I was happy to be able to be that person for them in that time, because I'm a representation at that point of my brother.
Right.
But had I not already had personal friends privately give me what I needed for my tank, I don't know that I would have been able to deliver that eulogy and, have that experience.
Do you want to, while we're on here, do you want to give a shout out to anybody specifically that came over and helped you out, like brought you food or anything like that? I mean, you don't have to if you want to. I was wondering if you did.
I don't.
You don't want to say anything?
No, I don't.
Okay. You're supposed to say me right there.
Clearly. You can give a shout out though. You're on the podcast.
You want me to give a shout out to myself? For bringing
I hope you wouldn't do that. That's not going to come off that good. Like me asking for that water at that funeral.
That's my next point. So after the amazing celebration of life service, thousands of people at one of the largest meeting facilities,
matter of fact, give me a Fiji water right now.
In South Florida, we at the funeral, somebody brings him a water. And Fiji need to pay you. We ain't gonna say that.
They do need to pay you. Y'all do need to pay you.
Oh man!
But you have to tell them what happened. They don't know what happened.
No. Okay, well, you get up to do the eulogy after we in an amazing service. 50 voice choir done been up. The ROTC from the school. I mean, I'm in the back running around like crazy, sweating. It's
you
an
just
amazing
tell the story.
service. I gotta build it up. Build it up. Everybody is trying to make sure that you're doing good.
Okay.
You get up to do the eulogy. The young lady brings you the water, almost trips coming up the stairs.
Okay, in my defense, you can continue, but in my defense, I did. If you go back and watch the footage, I did ask at the top for somebody since we're so great in assisting and helping.
Well, I already had the person bring you the water, so you had the water.
No, I didn't have no. I was. If y'all watch the footage, is this camera on? If y'all watch the footage, I say my mouth is dry. This is one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life. My heart is beating at 90 miles per hour, but you can't tell that. I look calm. And I say, my mouth is dry in front of the whole church. People. I say, somebody brings me water, and crickets.
So the young lady brings you the water, and as she brings you the water, you say, I don't drink this. I only drink Fiji. And the whole church is like, what? We're in the backstage like, somebody get him some Fiji. I don't want to call names, but it was pandemonium back there. People running around like crazy. But anywho,
I just looked at that water and thought I can't.
And you said, maybe I shouldn't have said that. That came out wrong.
I don't know what that water was, but I knew I wouldn't.
Fiji, you owe us a check. You owe him a check.
No, I was looking down. First off, I was waiting for you or Pastor Larry, somebody that I know know who I am, to take care of business, but nobody came.
There was a big name gospel artist in the back, and when you said that, his eyes said, he said, y'all better get him that Fiji.
Somebody said, wow. Man. No, if you look at the footage, I'm looking down because I did have a Fiji water down by where I was sitting. So you could see me kind of looking there already, but the young lady took it upon herself because other people didn't move into place.
Service, the celebration. This is right in the middle of the celebration.
Yeah. She brings the water and it just wasn't. So it didn't come off good. It didn't come off
Tell
good.
me this. So it's so good to see you laughing.
Yeah.
It's so good to see you laughing. And even in the middle of that, to find joy and everybody in the room with tears in their eyes, cracking up laughing.
Yeah, I think it broke the.
It definitely did. It definitely did. Because it was a heavy day. It was a heavy day.
Great funeral though. They were great celebration of life.
Which camera? This one right here. Look right here and tell somebody who may be going through a very similar situation. We're approaching the end of the year, holiday season. I mean, there's so many things that can get somebody down. What can you tell them to let them know that they're gonna be okay? How can they get through it? What needs to happen? What do they need to do?
Yeah, I would say this is not the conventional pastoral preacher version of that hopeful message that you would anticipate. But I will tell you this. This is a season of great transparency for me. So I feel very, very at peace talking with you honestly and letting you know that we're not subject to capitalism. We're not subject to the holidays. We're not subject to having to be up under the Christmas tree and the nostalgia of coming together. And the world doesn't get determined to me, when life is good or where I'm supposed to be or who I'm. If you want to be this Thanksgiving by yourself, you have a right to do that.
Yeah.
If you want to take your wife and your 2 children, or if you're a single person and you just want to get, on a plane and go to Dubai and just chill out, for things, you absolutely have a right to do that. And that's what I will challenge you to do, is to not get caught up in the schemes of the world that will sometimes be a plot to make you feel bad about you. Don't feel bad about you. God is good during the end of the year. God is good in the middle. Given you. We are experiencing that gift right now. If you're watching right now and you're breathing, you're inhaling, exhaling, all that's the gift. You're a car, a house. We need a building for our church. I don't care. That doesn't. You talked about the transition. I don't give a rat's behind. I mean, I would love for us to be in our building. I would love to have had more time to do whatever. But who cares? That means nothing in the grand scheme of what we're called to do. I'm still Pastor Javen. You still Pastor Charlie. We still the Now Church. We still are kingdom kids. God is still good. We still have a purpose. We still are on the right path to greatness. So I'm ready to be on that journey. My yes is still the same, and your yes needs to be the same. If you haven't given God your yes yet, then that's maybe where you need to start. And I'll tell you this, just for the record, you're not in control. Control is an illusion. It's a waste of time thinking you can control everything. You can't control nothing in this life. You don't. You only get to experience this life.
Wow.
And I would say get in the headspace of having a joyous experience. I walked away from a lot of bad conversations during this. When I saw the conversation going left, where I would normally engage or normally.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Yeah. One of the things that a few things that you said that just really jumped out to me in this season, if you're going through something, just keep doing you. Keep doing you.
If that's good.
Yes.
If
right.
what you're doing.
If what you're doing is good, keep saying yes to what God is telling you to do. And don't allow the world to dictate how you should be feeling right now.
Yeah, we live in a democracy. By we, I mean those of us that live in Western civilization.
Yeah.
So we have more distractions than most. If you were in a community or a country or a place where you're just trying to make sure your babies are fed, and that there's a roof over your head, then you wouldn't have time to complain about a lot of the stuff that we sometimes feel our systems pulling on us psychologically for. So when you think of it in that way, you start pushing towards what we call gratitude.
Yeah.
And to have gratitude, the word gratitude in the Greek means to look for what is good. To look at what is good. Find the good in what's going on in your life. So when we lost Carlton, the Holy Ghost began to deal with me, because I knew at that point I would have to play my small role. Keep in mind, there's a ton of us. There's 11 of us left. Started off with 13, and so I'm one of 8 boys originally. Now 6. So I got other brothers. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out what is my role as one of the elders in the family, and
as one of the younger ones.
As the younger ones, the youngest one. I got a baby sister, but I'm the youngest boy. I began to think on what is good. And when I begin to think on what is good, gratitude kicks in. And when gratitude kicks in, that's where your strength through the grace of God kicks in. And I began to look around, and Carlton has 3 incredible boys. They're young men now. And when I look at them and I hear, when they speak, I hear Carlton through them.
Yep.
When they walk, I see my brother walking through them. When they make decisions, I see that happen through them. And I say, that's good, right? That's a good thing. When I look at Josie, you know, she's broken. She's upset, my sister-in-law, but man, she is, you know, she has all these memories.
Yeah.
It's like all these ridiculous memories of her and Carlton, and it's like, that's good, because that means he unwrapped that gift of being a great husband. He was home, you know, he came home after work. He took his wife out on dates. Anytime they came to the big house, we had family events, they rode together. It wasn't like she showed up and matching colors, the T-shirts. And when the boys were young and at the house, you know, all 5 of them would be, 3, and he got big boys. You know, all 3 of them squished up in the back seat of that car, and he's driving and Josie's there, and that's how they operated. So when he transitioned, I started looking, saying, well, where's the good in his life? And his good was right in front of me.
Yeah.
You see? And that to me is why all of us, you know, all of us have to say, what is good in my life? What good am I doing? How am I impacting? When I take my final breath, what will people say about me?
Yeah.
You know, where would people look and say, well, that was good that he did this. At least she did that. At least, can they say that? You know, or will they just say, like I said a couple of weeks ago in church, you know, nobody's going to, you know, if you have a nice house, nobody's going to say, well, boy, he had a great house. You know, I've never heard nobody at the funeral get up and say, well, boy, that was such a nice car.
Yeah.
You know, and his car really impacted me, or his house was, you know, that was just such an impact on my life. It just left a legacy of how he wore his hair, you know, or the clothes he had on. No, it is the impact that we have on people's lives. It's the impact we leave on our families' lives. And it's the things that we've sown into all the people we've come in contact with. And when I looked at Carlton's life and when I saw all those people, we couldn't have it at our church. When we began to make a decision about where to have this service, you know, none of the churches around locally could work. You know, none of the high school auditoriums could work. And so we took it to the Faith Center here in Sunrise, Florida, which seats about 3,500, so that we could accommodate in short notice all the people that would want to come and help celebrate his life. And to me, that's the good. The good is that there was a legacy left. There was
the White House sent the
impartation.
flag down.
The White House sent the flag. The student superintendent of the school board of Broward County attended. We had so many commissioners. We had mayors. We had
cities were sending proclamations.
So many proclamations. Yeah. A lot of pastors. A lot of bishops.
Officials.
Everything. I mean, when we asked the students, past and present, to stand, that he was a principal.
Almost a third of the room stood up.
All kind of kids, all from. I mean, you're talking adults, attorneys now. Some have graduated from college. Some are still in school. The kids were so broken. His last school, Gulfstream, and it's just really is an amazement to a life worth living, a life that unwrapped those gifts. And to me, that is the testament of all of us, because you said it early. At some point, we all have to make that transition, and so it becomes important for all of us to say, I got to make sure that every day, my now, right? I got to make sure that every now moment counts.
Wow. I encourage you. I pray for you. I pray for your family.
Thank you.
The ministry's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for continuing to lead like you're leading, showing up. It's tough. It's tough. And we this has been quite the episode. This was a very difficult time. It is a very difficult time for all of us. He meant a lot to your family. He also meant a lot to all of us who are not blood related. And so as we talk about grief, as we know that grief is a part of life, and we know that that's something that we have to go through, thank you for being an example of what we could really do in the situation and not putting on a face like everything is okay. I think that's the thing that most of the people at the church, because I get calls every single day, people asking about you, praying for you. At least 10 to 12 calls a day, people saying, have you talked to Pastor Javen? Is he okay? Let him know we're praying for him. What can we do? And so thank you for being the leader that you are. We're going to get through this and just keep it moving.
Thank you, buddy.
Keep saying yes.
And we're getting through it. Love y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Love you.
God bless.